Okay, I believe we're live. Hello from beautiful Pattaya. I think I'll turn this on for you. Might help a little bit. So I'm ready for your questions. Let's rock and roll. Carl, highest risings to the family. Sending love out across the channels. Grateful to be here. And I'm grateful you're here too, Charles. What is my first question, please? Okay. What are the biggest mental blocks that prevent clarity and focus? That's a beautiful question. See, the human brain can only handle a maximum of 7 files. So, anytime you want to understand things like mental clarity and so forth, I want you to always go to the current neurologic model, which is a laptop. Okay? Because basically, you're a bio laptop. So you can handle a maximum of 7 files. So imagine you got a laptop and you only have so much internet speed and Wi-Fi and everything, whatever that percentage is. Let's say it's not so high. And you open up a file like playing a movie on YouTube. That's one file. And then somebody calls you and wants you to listen to something. You turn that on and that's playing. So there's two playing. And you keep doing that. If you get to 7 files without closing the other, every time you open another file, you notice how the computer gets slower, gets slower and slower and slower. Once with a human brain, once you get to 7 files, it'll lock right up. It'll just go into gridlock. I've experienced that. I've experienced that. Now, ladies are a lot better at handling several files at one time than men are. They call it multitasking. But our brain is not designed for multitasking. The frontal cortex only takes in and allows 40 bits of information per second. Only 40. And as Joe Dispenza points out, those 40 are basically allotted to time, your body, and the environment. Time, your body, and the environment. 40. So we live in a very busy, information dense world where they you are bombarded with things to pull you, like social media, where you just keep scrolling to look at the pretty pictures. I'll do that when I want a distraction. Things are pulling you all the time, and you don't know how to close the file. That's why I teach, and they all teach, all the literature teaches. Write it down. You get yourself a notebook and you remove from your head whatever you're doing onto paper. Every time you record something like that, your brain regards it as a closed file. But what people do, they try to think of everything in their head. The problem is the thought is entangled with an endless number of subconscious things. It's endless. It runs in a story. That's how the story gets created. We call it the inner dialogue. So that is the biggest obstacle. The answer is to all day, you carry, like Jim Rohn would say, carry your journal with you. And remember, as Dr. Bob Rakowski said, it's a known fact that writing is very different than voice recording or operating on the computer. It's different. See, when you write something down, the other thing is the words are not connected to the entanglements with emotions, which lead to moral judgments, which lead to, it's endless. That is the problem. So as Brendan Burchard, the big business coach, says, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. What he's talking about is, and this is where Zen, Vipassana, all of the Dharma pathways are 100% correct, bared out now by neuroscience. Our brain is designed for one thing at a time. If you live like that, if you can do it, and 99.999% of the population cannot do that, but if you were to do that, you will have beautiful mental clarity, and you won't get stressed or anything else. 99% of the population, when we're sleeping, our brain has not disconnected. Restorative sleep is very poor because all those files are open, and all night long the brain is working on them. Now, in the old days, they would say, when I say the old days, I'm like the days of the cowboys. They'll say, let me sleep on it. And they're just sleeping on one file. That's good. But that's not what's happening with us. And the media is designed to keep you confused, foggy, cloudy. And there's millions of chemical and energetic things that go along with that. So get your little notebook and get your pens. Yesterday I went down, bought myself a whole bunch of new ones, and got my new little notebook. I use up notebooks like Kleenex. That's your number one problem. Next. By the way, if you haven't seen it, as of now in February, you can book me for personal professional mentoring. Classes are 2 hours long. Only 2 hours long is available. I can't do that in 1 hour. But any area of your life or business or whatever it is, you need mentoring, I'll mentor you. Next question. How can one keep a discipline? I love that, Carl. How can one keep a disciplined mind? I started off with a disciplined mind as a child because it's my nature. Here's the way you do this. And in the 7th program, which is the solar program, the big king that rules this is Saturn. You need structure. Now, depending on where you're at, let's say you don't have a disciplined mind at all. Let's take like a worst case scenario. Let me have some of these Thai herbs here. Try to stop that cough. So a disciplined mind, what you need is structure, some kind of a form. Because mind itself and even a thought is a structure, it's a kind of a form. What you do is take your day, and you do, if you have no disciplined mind, you make a few small scheduled either events, activities, or habits. As John Asraf would say, it is not the size or intensity of the new behavior, activity, or whatever you're trying to discipline, but you need to just Start it. Let's say you want to read. In my case, as disciplined as I am, I always have trouble finding the time to read. I am very good with other things, but that's one of my, even though I enjoy it. So you say to yourself, I will read for 15 minutes every day. And I will, one of the greatest Chinese martial artists, grandmasters that ever lived was Chen Manqing, the great grandmaster of Tai Chi. And he was known as a master of the excellences. I think it was 5 excellences, but not sure. What that means in China in the old days, because he's not modern, is he's a very accomplished, high-level master, like the ultimate in China. And what he always said was 15 quality minutes. So let's say you want to insert physical exercise. Give yourself 15 minutes. What can you do in 15 minutes? You can do 30 to 50 sit-ups and 20 to 50 push-ups. And you can do different kinds of push-ups and and in 15 minutes, you just challenged your body. It's much better than doing nothing. And what you're doing is you're inserting structure and order into your life. Don't give yourself too much. Most people, they want to do something, they do it like a giant crash course, and then it's too much and they fail. Or it's too complicated and they fail. Make it, always structure your day so that you win. Don't structure your day so you lose. Structure it so there's some challenge, because the challenge brings up dopamine and brings up the good hormones, good energy, and growth, progress. But don't structure it so that you're going to lose. And that is how you do that. You need structure. Without structure, the concept of a disciplined mind is just air. Okay? Next question, please. What role does energy healing play in sharpening mental focus? Everything. Virtually in every way, shape, and form. Because every single session of depth healing, we are doing neural pruning. What is neural pruning? We are pruning away negative and unnecessary neural nets, neural connections. It's like when a person comes to the session, their mind and thought processes and their consciousness looks like a knot, an entanglement in fishing line. And we're going to unravel it. One of the ways they unravel it, you can watch it on functional brain scans. The neurons will disconnect, and then they search out and they make the new neural connections. When I use a destructive interference wave, destructive interference frequency on my client, a neural net or neural connection is gone. When I use constructive interference waves, new neural nets are connected. So the brain is being rearranged, which changes the frequency. And then by the law of resonance, their physiology, their life, everything will change, either right now or down line. Let me close this door. They're starting some kind of a drilling process. Those guys must know when I start because they're quiet until I get started. I hope I answered that question. Next, please. Are there specific meditation or breathing techniques to improve focus? Yes. The best one, which is used by all black ops and special ops of every country, everywhere in the world, is four square breathing. They call it four square breathing, box breathing. That is the number one go-to for improving mental focus. Why? Because it breaks the sympathetic nervous system is the stress nervous system. When you feel threatened or scared or shocked or worried, less and less blood goes to the frontal cortex, the amygdala lights up, and the stress response begins, fight or flight. And it's all a cascade. It's a cascade away from intelligence and focus. What it does is the focus will tunnel in on the threat. All of a sudden, right now, if you suddenly found a rattlesnake right beside you on the floor while you're listening to me, and you look down and there he is, what happens is your mind, it's too much, too fast, too close. The mind locks in on the snake, and a person will just freeze. That's why they'll get bit and they'll die. They're in a house and the house catches on fire or a bomb blows up or something. Too much, too fast, too much shock. They freeze up. It's called an adrenal dump, and they go into condition black. So four square breathing reverses that. It breaks that. Breaks it very fast. Breathing in, count of four, holding it in for the count of four, breathing out for the count of four, and holding it out for the count of four. I try to do that every day as I'm grounding outside for 5 minutes. Black Ops and Special Forces do it 3 times a day for 7 minutes minimum. They might do it for 15. I might have that wrong, but they do it 3 times a day because what it does is that condition of stress and cortisol is broken. So their consciousness is clear. It's clear. The other thing is always have your head up. If you tilt your head down and your neck goes into flexion, the brain, that functions to cause your brain to freeze frame time. So if you if you want to solve a specific problem, like a math problem, doing this will allow you to lock in. When you raise your head up, consciousness and the brain is flowing in the present moment with the environment. Okay? 4 square breathing, head up. Next. How does nutrition and hydration impact mental clarity? Nice question. Your brain uses something like 90-95% of all your energy. Tons of your energy. Your brain is made out of water and oil. That's all it is. Water and oil. Did you know, according to Nassim Haramein, one of the greatest physicists in the world, they have actually had people who were in accidents and they had to open up their head, for the brain, to go for their brain. And all they found was water. Guys, completely normal. You don't hear about this, they don't publish that stuff. You have to have connections like I do. But in any case, it's water and oil. You got to be hydrated. The hydration that you're made out of is salt water. Salt water. If you ever taste your tears are salty. Salt is a crystal. So the salt water you're made out of is a liquid crystal. Also, if you read the research of Bruce Lipton, cells are liquid crystals. They're little crystals, but they're made out of liquid. They have liquid outside, extracellular fluid, and they have liquid inside, intracellular fluid. Everything is fluid. If you don't have the proper nutrition, nothing works. You know, if you watch people that eat McDonald's, what your body does, your body is a enormous powerhouse transformer. So they eat that non-biodegradable crap. It goes into their body, and your body has got to try to use that to rebuild tissue, muscle, your eyes, your teeth, your bones, everything. It's got to try to do that. It'll do it as best it can. But because that is not nutrition, it's non-biodegradable, synthetic Frankenstein stuff. So you get cancer. It's a mutated whatever it is. So your body will go as long as it can. And then you'll get cancer, and you'll have to deal with the cancer. So we are from the earth. I just was at my wife's funeral, and we had to cremate her mom, and we went to get the ashes the next day. It's all you are is a little pile of ashes about that big, just ash, nothing else. We are biologic, like a biocomputer, and you're made out of the earth. So you have to eat and nourish it according to nature. And that's why pharmaceuticals and all that the stuff is the worst thing you could ever do. You know, so you're made out of water, and you got to have the right nutrients. Otherwise, just like if your car was a DeLorean or a Mercedes Benz and it doesn't have any gas and there's no oil, no cigar, right? It's just that simple. Okie doke. Next question. How to heal the pineal gland? Get a hold of me. Come in and see me, and we'll go after that for you. Next question. Can simple physical movements or exercise help? The research is in, bar none, it's uncategorical. Exercise is the number one thing for brain health and longevity. Exercise. Number one indicator, number one thing you can do to stop Alzheimer's, to keep your brain active, it's physical movement. The top physical movement that you can do engages all aspects of the brain, focus, decision making, and the entire body. And what the research shows is the racket sports, because the racket sports, unlike golf, racket sport has a opponent, so it's a didactic relationship. But all the racket sports show the longest living, healthiest, best for the brain, for mental focus, for everything. Okay, because it's working the totality. Okie doke. How do relationships affect healing? Very easy, Sheba, because um, what you're doing in relationships is looking back at yourself. So the relationships are mirrors. And when you are, if you're healing your relationships, you're healing. The key to healing relationships is not to change the other. We change. If you want healing, real healing, you gotta change inside yourself, and the relationship will automatically heal. Sounds crazy, but it's the absolute truth. And all of the relationships, it's all it is projections. If a person is enlightened, I've been in this state, so I'm very familiar with it because I was in it a long time in 1991. If you're in that kind of consciousness state, you will know and experience that the other is you. Literally, it's one. It's one. We're all one. But we're not living like that. And pretending to be like that is the most erroneous and dumbest thing anyone can ever do. Never pretend to be enlightened. So what happens is it's a projection. So as you heal, so you are in a relationship and there's all of these problems, turn them back on yourself. Heal that, come and see me, dissolve it, resolve it, and then that will heal that relationship. That's how relationship, because everything is relationship. If you look at the sun is only there because you're in relation with it. No you, no sun. For you. Make sense? Okay, next question. Faye. What effect does sugar have? And I live in Thailand. Never in my life have I seen a society that loves sugar more than Thailand. They even put sugar in meat. But once you're here, like me, for 11 years, you get so used to it. But sugar, see, we are not designed for sugar. So we have 4 mechanisms, physiologic mechanisms, to draw sugar out of anything for us. You could eat a piece of wood and any amount of glucose or whatever. We have 4 mechanisms to find it and pull it into your bloodstream. Unfortunately, we only have 1 mechanism to take sugar out of our blood, and that's insulin. Now, about I think maybe 100, might be 200 years ago now, when a person, let's say in England, according to the research, in an entire year, a person would consume 1 pound of sugar, 1 pound in a year. Now it's something like, I want to say 40 pounds, but I think it's more than that, of sugar. So we live in a world now where diabetes is epidemic. Here in Thailand, in America, you'll associate real obese people with the diabetes. But here in Thailand, they'll be as thin as a rail, but they still develop type 1 diabetes because of the amount of sugar. So sugar just throws off everything. And of course, it'll throw off all the brain. Anything that's going to throw off all the biochemistry of the body through the bloodstream, throughout every cell, the brain is the first guy that's going to get impacted. Okay, did that answer your question? Well, hello. Thank you very much for calling me. That's quite a title. Greetings, much love. Can you explain the 80,000? What is it and how to join? I'd be happy to. It's the 81,000. That's a number as a ratio of the human race. It is a movement that was originally conceived over 850 years ago, and Sri Alma Bhagavan, the great avatars that are alive in India, came specifically for that purpose, for helping humanity, helping to save the planet. The mission statement is to set all mankind free. Free from what? Free from mind. It's mind that's killing off the world. It's all mind. Mind is very old, millennia old. It's just a field. And if we're going to save humanity, the consciousness must change. If you don't change consciousness, no military force or anything, it's all beautiful and, God bless good intentions and everything. It's going to accomplish nothing. It's all it does is rearrange things temporarily. So consciousness has got to change. The 81,000 is designed specifically to do that. And they do it, because the 81,000 is the Param Jyoti itself. What's the Param Jyoti? Param Jyoti is a giant collection of all the greatest beings that ever were, and they've all ascended, and they're there as a population. So Jesus is in there, Krishna is in there, all kinds of people, all the archangels and everybody's in there. Mother Mary's in there, everybody's in there. So you can think of it like a giant ball of light, but we call it the totality of it, Param Jyoti. It's the Param Jyoti directly that fuels and heals and does all the miracles through these people who join the 81,000. The 81,000 is a task force. So I'm a senior member of that task force. What do I mean by that? It's a morphic field task force. So if let's say there is a tsunami coming from the ocean toward a country, if we have enough people, because you need the number, that focus must be at the same time connected through the Param Jyoti, they can stop that tsunami just like that. And it's gone. They've already done it. There is no theory or anything like that. Long time ago, the transcendental guy Maharishi did it with all of New York. And they have about that much power. I'm not talking about that kind of power. I'm talking about the Param Jyoti directly. All the Maharishi did was, I think he took 1,000 people. They did a transcendental meditation as a morphic field all together, and with the sole intention of calming down all of New York. You can read all about it. It's all recorded. And all of the police records, fires, rapes, everything dropped right down. And as soon as they stopped their meditation, everything went back to normal. So this is all, but the Param Jyoti 81,000 is a game changer. The problem is the dark side is so strong, even after 30 something years since the oneness movement began under Sri Rama Bhagavan. There's so few worldwide, so few. Quality is very high, but so few because the dark side is very seductive. It's easy. It has all the money. It has all the weapons. It has all the media. It has everything. So if you want to join the 81,000, you just get a hold of me. There's a simple registration. You get in, and then you're directly in that group, connected. Your whole commitment is simply one class a week, every week, and once a month, at the last Saturday of every month, you see Sri Bhagavan himself directly, and you will be transformed and given special empowerments. Every week you're ramped up, and every month the empowerments come. The empowerments allow you to transfer states of consciousness, actual transfers. So you're given that power specifically to help save the world. Okay, I hope I answered that question. Just get a hold of me and I'll hook you up, as they say. You're welcome, Sheba. My pleasure. How much is the 2-hour session? 2-hour sessions are $500, whether it's a mentorship, private mentorship session, or if it's a 2-hour healing session. 2-hour healing sessions are necessary when there's a lot of different things. Let's say you have a family issue, plus you have a health issue, and you have a business issue. You need 2 hours. I can't do it in an hour because I need to gather so much information. It takes time. So that's a 2-hour. Those are $500. An hour session is $250. Okie doke. Google says 57 to 80 pounds of sugar. Oh, consumed in the U.S. Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's addictive, of course, and it's a stimulant, and you can see people because they're so hyped up, and they're so scared, and they're so stressed and overtaxed, so they're weak as water. Sugar seems like a it jacks them up. It's like those energy drinks. Worst garbage you could ever put in your body. It blows your adrenal glands right out. But people here in Thailand, in Thailand is so little stress compared to when I was living in America. It's unbelievable. But they just suck those things back, and it's pure trash. The thing to do is to have natural, take care of your body's amazing if you just work in harmony with it. That's the trick. We need to take care of our body, so our body, it's like the military. Take care of your gun will take care of you. You have to take care of your body. Now, when I was a young martial artist, I abused my body all the time. Most athletes do. Most athletes do. It's a huge mistake. Comes from being young, and they want to throw the weights around and pump themselves up and destroy joints and joint capsules, ligament structures, tendons, all kinds of stuff. But when you're young, it seems like you're invincible. You have to learn how to really take good care of your body, and then you'll have all the energy you'll ever want. Okie doke. How to cleanse oneself from negative impulsive thoughts. That's when you come to see me. That's exactly what I do. And I do it very damn well. You just come and see me, Sheba. We'll knock those things right out. I'm the living proof of that. I lived with so much negative thoughts. It gave me breast cancer, broke my back in half when I was 27, all kinds of stuff. It's all gone, completely gone. Okie doke. Dr. G, will you ever have a training to teach us to help others after healing ourselves through your healing? Well, that's when what you do, Yahweh, is that's why I've initiated these mentorship classes. As opposed to some kind of a big course. You see me privately and personally. Because everything I do, I don't do anything generalized. Generalized stuff, that's why it's superficial. So I will be happy to do that for you in personal mentorship. Okay? Absolutely. That's why I've initiated personal mentorship. Divine signaled me to do that. So whatever the divine signals me to do, that's what I do. Okie doke. How does Golden Age shift this dominance of evil that persists? Everything is a numbers game, honey. So everything is a numbers game. It's all morphic fields. So it's like majority rules. Now, the dark side, which has the majority, they function on low frequencies. Fear, mostly fear. They'll generate some anger, but anger can be turned into a real good energy. So they love to focus on fear. And the golden age, which will come, it's just that I believe what's going to happen is it'll come to a small population. But the golden age is a high consciousness, high frequency. So if there's 8.1 billion people approximately in the world, you need 81,000 people. If you have 81,000 people, and the 81,000 have a particular level of consciousness and the empowerment to transfer it. What happens is, let's say we have a crowd over here of dark side, Bhagavan calls them black caps. And they're all terrified and huddled together, and they're destructive. If we have a group, a percentage strong enough and concentrated at the same time, the happiness we call Ananda, causeless love, and Ananda is causeless joy, and then causeless love can be transferred into that group. And that group, it's called a phase transition. Their consciousness will, without them having any decision in it, it will consume them. It'll absorb. You've heard of the 100th monkey effect, or you can see this in a room where there's a bunch of strangers maybe at a bus station, and there's somebody comes with a little baby, little 1-year-old or something, little toddler, and the little kid's really happy and cute, and smiling, and you can watch everyone in the room. They start smiling, and it's catching. It's contagious. It's like a contagion. It's like an air. When they say contagion, when these idiots want to scare you with this COVID garbage, they say it's airborne. Well, you can airborne consciousness. In the golden age now, in oneness, we're doing it. They've done it very, very successfully, especially in Japan, because the Japan group is very large. America's group is very tiny, unfortunately. Very tiny. Some other countries are very, very large, and they've been able to do some amazing things. Russia has a real big group. They were able to actually halt a military maneuver to overtake some city. They did that in 2024. But you won't hear that in any of the regular media, of course. And in the first place, the media wouldn't have any idea what was going on anyway. But does that explanation help you? Sheba, how does the moon and planets affect our mind, mood, and meditation? I love this question because this morning, especially now in 2025, I do extensive work with the solar program and all of the great Navagrahas. So, how do they affect it? Long story short, basically speaking, those planets will magnify whatever your level of consciousness is. It'll amplify it. Now, that being said, I always recommend the greatest master I'm aware of in the world for the solar system and numerology is Joshua Siegel. Joshua Siegel. And any of you, if you look him up, Joshua Siegel, he's in LA, and you tell him Dr. G sent you or referred you. I see him about every 4 months. He's the only person that I counsel with because I've never, ever known him to be wrong. Now, the seventh program is the moon, the planets, and so forth. Each of us, astrology is very real. So you have your chart. I never read general astrology, mostly useless, because your particular chart is your particular chart. Just like I said a minute ago, depth healing, I don't do general stuff. It's got to be client-oriented, specifically, because everybody and everything is unique. The solar system is very strongly creating and controlling what's going on in your life. It's very predictive. And then, if you're like me, there are certain planets like Saturn is famous for having malefic effects, negative effects. It has very strong positives, but it has negatives. Rahu has negatives. When a planet goes into retrograde, it can cause a lot of havoc. It's very famous. All of the great wars, all of human history is exactly following the solar cycle. Period. It's been documented with crystal clarity. The French Revolution, the Renaissance, the wars, anything. Great Depression. It's all follows exactly the sun, who's the big king. We call Surya Graha. And then, like in my chart, Jupiter is my big boy. Jupiter, Guru Graha. So, and Guru Graha rules um, is linked with your dad. Pardon me, sun is dad, moon is mom, and Guru Graha has to do with me as a teacher, as like a guru. That's why it's called Guru Graha. But all of those planets, if you know your own chart, not from some amateur, someone like Joshua, that's different, very different. You get a top level, real professional, so the information is accurate. And how do I know he's accurate? I've known him for years now. He's never been wrong, not once on anything. So that's what I do. But it's an enormous controller in our life and destiny. Okay. Next question, Yahweh. How to have heavenly dream? How to have heavenly dreams? That's an interesting question. I do have an answer for that. If you have a bond with your divine, so the trick is always your bond with your divine. Before you go to sleep, ask the divine to sleep with you and to take you to the high locus. Locus mean, like, you can think of it like the word location, the heavens, to take you with them. And if you have that kind of bond, they will. That is the answer for that question. Okay. Depthy, how can we manage social media and technology distractions effectively? Yeah, one of the ways, I love that question. One of the ways, like Jim Rohn says, is walk away. Walk away. He says walk away from 97% of all of it. And they're all of it. Everything. Just walk away from it. Guard this mind is precious and it's very vulnerable. And now they have AI. Now AI won't fool me because I can talk to the field. But most people, it'll fool you right away because it's so sophisticated. It won't bother you if you're not looking at it, if you're not listening to it. I have a couple of friends of mine who are just genius, multimillionaire, accomplished people. They never in their life looked at any social media. Now with depth healing, I got to be able to. What's going on? TP. I can't answer a personal call right now. I don't know what that is. So TP, if you're on this show, I'll be happy to talk to you later. So that is, you have to police what you spend your time on. One of the things I do, because I like to, I'm a visual guy. I love pictures. What I'll do is I'll put a little timer on my phone, 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 10 minutes. And you say to yourself, okay, I'll look at Instagram for a half an hour and just to see what they're doing. Or I'll watch YouTube for a half an hour or something. But you got to pick. I have 5 more minutes, folks, and then I have a client I got to go to. You have to pick and choose carefully, eh? Oh, TP is your next client. Okay. So Tawana, oh, I see, TP, Tawana. So I hope I answered that question. You have to pick and choose carefully. Remember what I told you about the 7 files. That's very true. That's scientific literature. Any more questions, folks? Now, we have the collective at the end of this week. Please come and take part in that. The collectives are very broad horizontal sweeps through your subconscious to evolve you. And I have selected all of the uh, uh, subjects with the divine so that by the end of this year, you're a different person. Okay? So they're cumulative. Cumulative. They're all interacting together. Okay? So I'll look forward to seeing you, and God bless all of you. Thank you so much. Bye for now.